Hey community, this is Dr. Hugh coming at you today, and I have a new exciting case of a 71-year-old grandma. Yes, 71-year-old grandma, and what's the takeaway of this case is you're never too old to decide to get better. As long as you have a pulse, as long as God still has the spiritual beingness within you, you can get better, just like grandma, 71-year-old grandma, is getting better on a functional medicine program. So let's dive in, and I hope this case brings some value to you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, wherever, if you're watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my station down below. This just helps the content and get this information out to humans that are suffering needlessly, being mauled into the system. And as you know, if you're watching this video, she's 71 years old, and she's afraid to go into the conventional system. Why? Because she's had a mauling, right? She's been mauled. She's been damaged. It's all in your head. You're crazy. There's nothing we can do. Let's do this test. Let's stick this thing down your throat. Let's stick this thing up your, you know what kind of tests, MRI scans with contrast. And at the end of the day, no results. So let's dive in. And let's see if we can give you some value on this and some understanding on how it is actually possible for you to get better the way God designed us to be healthy. So again, she's 71-year-old female, right? 71-year-old grandma, all right? We're going to call her Grandma Mary. Grandma Mary. So she has A-fib, bad gut, anxiety, fatigue, and she put down anxiety twice here. Okay. So this is her initial intake form, and then I also have people fill out a big survey, like about 100, I don't know, I think it's 140 questions, really simple. Why is that? Because we need to look at you as a human being. We need to look at all your organ systems, your liver, your gallbladder, your memory, your male organs, your female organs, your digestive system, your adrenal glands, all these different glands that we want to take a look at to make sure that they are functioning the way they should. Constipation, 3 out of 3. So she's not going poop on a regular basis. They're hard, coated tongue, and passes large, foul-smelling gas. Here's another thing, is she is shaking, tremors, agitated, and poor memory. So at 71 years old, people just say, oh, you're 71 years old. That's just the way it should be. No, I'll let you know, like, there's things that can be done to stop memory loss, to stop mild cognitive impairment, MCI. Lots and lots of people out there suffering with brain fog, brain fatigue. And now we have this whole huge populations of the baby boomers. And there's probably a high probability that you are in a baby boomer. Your brain is your number one asset. Let me take a step back. Your health is your number one asset. If you don't have health, you're going to have a bad brain. So it's just not normal to say, oh, you're 71, that's normal, this is normal, this is normal. No, let's have a good quality brain, good quality health happening here. So she has poor memory problems. Then we get into some of the labs, and I want to kind of go over some of these labs right here. Is what we found is that she had too much iron. Now, I have lots of different videos on iron and too much iron, and anything when it comes to iron is basically, it's a free radical, meaning that if you have too much, it's going to go around just like Pac-Man in the 80s, go around and eat your organs. It's going to go around and eat your brain. It's going to go around and eat your gut. It's going to go around and guess what? Eat your heart. And what I mean by that, not so much maybe eat your heart, right? That's one of the components is oxidative stress. So actually the Pac-Man's going around and eating the heart. But if you have A-fib and you have too much iron in an organ, like just imagine these as like wires, right? Your organ is just like, your heart's like a wire. It's an electrical system. Well, if you have too much iron in your system, too much iron in the wire, is that impulse that tells the heart to beat, 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 beat. All that's done through electricity. So if you have a wire that's very thin and it goes to be very thick because you have too much iron, that impulse is not going to be getting into the heart and functioning. And that's with every organ in your entire system. Every organ is ran by your nervous system. So let's kind of go over some of these stats here and see what we see here. Okay, so you see this right in here. Iron saturation is at 68%. What does that mean? So I'm just going to draw this out because I like visual pictures. This is your red blood cell. All right, so normal should be 15 to 55, meaning saturation of iron. So if we just take half, so right here, this means that this whole chunk right here normally should be filled with iron. And we like it to be 15 to 55. I'd say the sweet spot's like 35, right? So what this is telling you is that she has a 68% saturation. So out of her red blood cell, almost 75% of the space that iron can be at is occupied. So we want 35. She's at 75%. So she has a huge amount percentage, too much iron sitting on her red blood cells. Now, these also indicate in here, let me erase these things here just so you can see the stuff. You can also see in here is this iron. This is just a basic level of iron, 168. You can see she's high on that. And then these things right in here, when you have too much iron, they're in the lower category. So you can do a couple different things. You can measure for high or low. So right now we know that she has too much iron. And then right here, her A1C is 5.7. On my lab, that's considered pre-diabetic. So she's pre-diabetic, meaning that she has too much insulin and too much glucose running around in her system. Pre-diabetic, we want that. The sweet spot's around 5.2. So right now, just from looking at this simple lab, we know that she has too much iron and she's pre-diabetic and she's having A-fib, anxiety, and memory problems. All these things are with your nervous system and your cell tissues not functioning optimally. Okay, so we're getting to the root cause of the problem. Now here, I got some videos on this here, Ferritin. Check this out. Her Ferritin is 348. Look at the lab range, 150. So she's basically, she's like 150% higher than what she should be with ferritin. And ferritin, what ferritin is this is an iron storage marker. So we can actually measure how much iron is stored within your organs. This is what we're measuring right here. So this lab being that high at 385 is telling you there's lots and lots of iron sitting in her organs, every organ in her entire body. That means that the wire, instead of the wire being like, let's say, as thick as my pinky here, let's say it's like 3 fingers. Okay, this is how thick it is now. So that electrical impulse is not getting in there. Not only electrical impulses, but when you have too much iron, you start to rust from the inside out. Just imagine taking your bike and leaving your bike outside and letting the rain come down. What's going to happen? It's going to start to rust, and it gets worse and worse and worse the longer you have that sitting out. So she has high ferritin. The sweet spot should be between 40 and 80 right here. Okay, so that's just on ferritin. So we have a couple also interesting markers as well on here. We have insulin. The sweet spot should be 5 right here. So she's 50%, basically 100% higher than functioning normally. So this has to do with glucose levels and insulin levels. Red blood cell here. Now, when we talk about some of these labs and I go over these lab ranges, what we're talking about is a sweet spot, a functional range. Where do healthy, normal human beings live? That's where we want to be, not where sick people live, right? So when the lab comes back high, this is where a sick person lives, right? Not where a healthy person lives. So this is where we're kind of looking at. So magnesium, this is actually how much magnesium RBC. RBC stands for red blood cell count. So what this actually is measuring is how much magnesium is actually in the red blood cell. So we can extrapolate what's in the red blood cell is in the rest of your human cells, right? The rest of your body. Now, right here, we have 5.4. I like to see this at least 6 or greater. So this tells me that she's magnesium deficient, which is not good, right? Now, let's go on to here. Now, if you recall, she was having some brain issues as well. So let's kind of go over this. DHEA, which is a hormone. DHEA is a hormone. It's the most it's the most significant hormone in your body. So you have more DHEA than you have testosterone, estrogen, or progesterone by a lot. So the DHEA is very critical for brain health and brain function. One of the things was what anxiety and memory problems. So what can we do? We can easily supplement with some DHEA, which is very, very critical for the brain and every organ in your entire body. So she's suboptimal on that. Here we have vitamin D is 50. That's not bad, but you can see the range here is 30 to 100. The sweet spot really is around 80. I like to see that sweet spot right around 80 right in there. So what have we done to her so far? So we basically cleaned up her diet. We got her bowels moving. She was using enemas and that kind of thing. So we got her bowel moving. We increased her magnesium, fish oil. We changed her diet. Now we're going to be doing some things that decrease the ferritin or the iron in her body. And we also ordered a mold test and organic acid test. We haven't got those back. But those simple changes that we've made so far have made a huge, huge difference in her functioning and her wellness and her quality of life. Even at Grandma, at Mary, 71-year-old grandma, she can still get better. And if you're out there suffering, you can get better too. There's no need to continue to suffer. You just have to have an individualized, custom-tailored plan geared towards your needs. And that's all I am, is I'm just a guide that helps you move from A to B to C. Very simple. So that being said, just remember, is where there's help, there's hope. Take care. Bye-bye.